So Liberty had there were some issues and a changeover, and they got, so when she started, it was Liberty and Marines. Okay.
Thank you. The only one Arnold Bond, Muffler.
Not much. Hold on. Hold. Present. Touch.
Please remain standing for our national anthem and for our invocation to follow. Our national anthem will be sung by Mr. Frank Basili.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
If you forget my death, I died in vain. Today we remember that on October 23rd, 1983, cowards with a truck full of explosives murdered 220 Marines, 18 sailors, 3 soldiers, 58 French paratroopers, and 6 innocent Lebanese citizens. Today, 41 years have gone by, and we honor and remember our Marines and all those we lost on that horrific day at this memorial here and in our hearts. Next month, we will celebrate Thanksgiving. And again, we will give thanks for Moses, John, Thomas, Gilbert, John, Raphael, Rue Manuel, Lewis, and Alan. We will give thanks for their lives, keenly aware that their families will have an empty chair at their table. Such a costly sacrifice to the altar of freedom. Theirs is a legacy of honor, courage, and commitment that this nation and the United States Marine Corps will never forget. We honor all the men and women who presently serve in our armed forces and all of the veterans here today. May they always feel appreciated by our nation, and we ask that they be protected this and every day. Amen.
Colonel Clapp has worn the uniform for more than 38 years and would be happy to do it all again. Without any further ado, it is my honor to present Colonel Mark Clapp.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Marines are never supposed to wear sunglasses in formation. So even though the sun is beautiful, I'm going to go with tradition here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm honored and humbled by this opportunity. I was preparing for this little speech, didn't know what to expect. So I went on YouTube and I viewed a number of videos prepared by Patrick J. Hughes. You may see him wandering around here with the camera. If you want to see previous versions of this ceremony or just learn more about the Marines, you can easily find his videos on YouTube. What a gorgeous day the Lord has given us. Just like that Sunday morning 41 years ago in Beirut, when Marines suffered their single largest loss of life since the Battle of Iwo Jima in World War II. In 1982, the Lebanese government requested that the United States establish a military presence in Lebanon. Along with Great Britain, France, and Italy, the U.S. served as a peacekeeping force in the conflict between Muslim and Christian groups that had been raging in Lebanon. Marines and sailors of the 24th MAL, and those of us that are old Marines remember when it was a MAL, not a MEU, based at Camp Lejeune, received orders on March 24th, 1983, to deploy to Beirut, Lebanon, to restore peace to a small country ripped apart by civil war. The 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, officially Battalion Landing Team BLT-18, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Larry Gerlach, was the ground combat element of the 24th MAL and had its headquarters in a multi-story building on the airport campus they affectionately dubbed the Beirut Hilton. It was a bright, sunny morning like today on October 23rd when at around 06:22, that's 22 minutes after 6 for you civilians, a 19-ton yellow Mercedes truck drove to the Beirut International Airport. The truck was a hijacked vehicle filled with explosives. The driver turned his truck into an access road leading to the compound, drove in and circled around the parking lot, and then accelerated to crash through a 5-foot wall of concertina wire that separated the parking lot from the building. The wire popped like someone walking on twigs, one Marine said. The truck then passed between 2 sentry posts, through an open vehicle gate in the perimeter chain link fence, crashed through a guard shack, and smashed into the entrance of the building. The sentries at the gate were operating under rules of engagement, ROEs, which dictate how we respond to certain scenarios. Those ROEs made it very difficult to quickly respond to the truck. And on that day, the sentry were ordered to keep a loaded magazine inserted in their weapon with the bolt closed, weapon on safe, and no round in the chamber. Only one sentry, Lance Corporal Eddie DeFranco, was able to chamber a round. However, by that time, the truck was already crashing into the building entryway. The suicide bomber, who was an Iranian national, detonated his explosives. The blast, caused by what FBI investigators later estimated was more than 12,000 pounds of TNT, produced the largest non-nuclear explosion since the atom bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was, as one survivor later recounted, like every atom in the universe blew apart. 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers died. Another 128 Americans were wounded in the blast, of which 13 later succumbed to their wounds. Minutes later, a second suicide bomb struck a 9-story building a few kilometers away where French peacekeepers were billeted. Another 58 French troops and 6 civilians were killed. So why do we remember this event? If you forget my death, then I die in vain. The purpose of this memorial and our gathering here today is to remember those Americans who gave their lives, as well as all the others serving our country that day. They were all there to do their duty, preserve the values that we as Americans cherish. We prize the remembrance of these veterans because if we fail to do so, it proves us unfaithful to them. But when we remember we are faithful, and it shapes us, both in the present and in the future. The act of remembering can be used to elicit fear and shame, or it can be used to inspire and motivate. It's impactful either way, depending on how and why you remember. We do this so that Marines of today understand the meaning, significance, and sacrifice of those that came before. Reason number 2, remembering enables us to learn from history. One of the most significant lessons learned from this new age of asymmetric warfare is that nothing stays the same. The enemy is constantly learning and adjusting tactics, techniques, and procedures, what we call TTPs. And unless we learn from our history, whether that history is 60 days or 60 years old, we'll be at a disadvantage in this new way of fighting. Lessons learned are an essential reason why Marines are successful. We remember what we did wrong so we don't repeat those mistakes and build on our successes. Remembering that a victory today may not be repeated tomorrow if we become complacent or lazy. Lessons learned from Beirut led to significant improvements in force protection, something I personally benefit from while deployed overseas to Africa. And who hasn't been surprised and amazed by the lessons we've learned from the use of drones by the Ukrainians against the Russians? It's a warfighting concept that didn't even exist a few years ago. Finally, reason number 3, remembering promotes gratitude, wisdom, and faith. Gratitude comes when people remember the good others have done for them. Who here isn't grateful for the sacrifices made by those Marines in Beirut? Because we're grateful, we continue to remember and honor them, not only here in Philadelphia, but at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, the Armed Forces Chaplaincy in South Carolina, and in cities like Boston, and even at a war memorial in Haifa, Israel. When we remember the sacrifices made that day, we're grateful for the unwavering dedication demonstrated in so many ways that we cannot help but be thankful and humbled. We're grateful that there are still men and women that will do the right thing out of duty and honor. Wisdom is the skill to know how to apply what one learns from experience. A decision or action from an experience, no generation can attain wisdom without studying and remembering the past. Without wisdom, all good intentions in the world amount to nothing. Intending to do good without wisdom is like intending to fly an airplane without any knowledge of airplanes or the laws of aerodynamics. Finally, there is faith. When we remember that faith is not usually found in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary, our faith increases. As Marines, we must have faith in our leaders, our equipment, our training, and most of all, our fellow Marines. This faith does not come easy, so we train, suffer, and build that faith on the back of experience. Yet none of this faith would be possible without remembrance. Our Marines in Beirut became a beacon of hope in one of our darkest moments. Their courage reminds us that no matter the hardship, we can find the strength to rise and rebuild. As we remember the fallen and honor their survivors, let us carry forward their legacy. Let us stand united, inspired by their example, and strive to make the world a better place, just as they did. Semper Fi, and God bless.
Our next speaker is Gold Star Mother, Mrs. Muffler, mother of John Muffler, who would like to speak a few words.
Good morning. Thank you for attending the 41st ceremony of the 1983 bombing of the Marine headquarters in Beirut, Lebanon. 241 died that day, 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers. The total number was 279. So many years have passed and our families are still remembered. This is heartwarming to all of us. We will always remember they came in peace. The Beirut Veterans of America motto is, the first duty is to remember. Thank you from the families.
It's my honor to present Miss Loretta Swit.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right? Yes? So important that we hear what everybody's saying, because it's so important. Yes, we met at the parade for John Basilone, another of our great heroes, whom we must never forget. And I love that this is a yearly thing. I look forward to coming next year and the year after, because the most important thing is not to forget. At the parade a few weeks ago, I told the audience of something that meant very much to me. I read it, and it was so meaningful that without knowing, I had memorized it, and I've been saying these words to my audience. The important thing is to not let your thanks or your memories go by rote, something that you memorized, like thank you for your service. No, see, there's more meaning to those words that has to be there when you say thank you for your service. Because what we need to remember is that these vets, at some part in their lives, wrote out a blank check made out to the United States of America, that's us, for the sum of up to and including their lives. And that is honor. And keeping that in mind when you try to say thank you, there are no words to say thank you or to express the true gratitude that we have for these wonderful, extraordinary people.
Corporal Moses Arnold Jr. Sergeant John J. Bonk, Jr. Amazing Grace will now be performed by Ray Exton and Michelle Gallagher of Cairngorm Pipes and Drums. We got them all.
Order, arms.
Got it?